All right, for more, let's bring in today's political panel. Here with us, Axiom Strategies Republican strategist Aaron McGuire and Precision Strategies Vice President Rich Lucchetti. Thank you for being here, Aaron and Rich. Let's dive in. I thought it was interesting that former Vice President Kamala Harris and presidential candidate is addressing these young voters, but doesn't do it in person. Does it by phoning in, essentially, a 2-minute taped video. Let me start with you, Rich, actually. Was that the right approach? I mean, trying to, put her back in the spotlight and energize young Democrat voters, but don't show up in person?
Well, I think that's a question for former Vice President Harris. I think it's very important that Democrats address how they performed with younger voters in the last election. Democrats had a huge problem with Gen Z, but we've already seen in the first 6 months of President Trump's term that his numbers have started going off a cliff with Gen Z. So there's an opportunity for Democrats there. They're going to need to seize it over the next 18 months.
So, Aaron, Nancy Pelosi did show up in person. You heard some of what she had to say in Maddie's report, but here I want to play a little bit more of it for you and get your reaction.
Gen Z has a really important role. Voters for the future. The future, it belongs to you. It's where you will live. So whether we're talking about having a safe planet that will exist for everyone into the future, a strong democracy for what happens into the future.
So that's interesting. So, and she goes on to say, a strong economy. She's really trying to help define the issues, right? Environment, economy, fairness. What do you make of that? Is that the message that Pelosi has that is going to help Gen Z, Democrats win back Gen Z voters?
If Democrats think that Nancy Pelosi is the person to help them win back Gen Z voters, man, do I have a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. It is obscene to think that that woman is going to connect with these people in any way, shape, or form. She's standing there talking about Democrat victories in 06 and 18 to young voters who likely were in, I don't know, maybe not even born in 05. And now she's trying to tell them, back when we won in my day, here's how we did it. If you want to connect with voters, you need to get them where they are. And to your point that Trump is losing support with Gen Z, he gained massive ground that Democrats are going to have to try to make up. And Trump softening doesn't mean Republican softening, right? There is still a difference. Trump is his own person. And while he is the face of the Republican Party and the leader, Republicans run their own race and have their own conversations to have with Gen Z voters, because we're going into the midterms right now. It's selling what's been done on Capitol Hill, and Democrats don't have a message to sell. And with Nancy at the helm, they don't have someone to sell it either.
Well, let me throw it to you, Rich. What is the message for the Democrats, not just in Gen Z, but for the midterms?
People look at Washington, D.C. right now, and we see this not just with the Democratic Party, but the Republican Party and President Trump. They're dissatisfied with what's happening in Washington right now. It's because people are working harder than they ever have before, and a lot of people in this town don't see it every day. They're working harder than they ever have, and they're still not getting ahead. Republicans are not going to be able to distance themselves from the president in the midterms because they just voted for the big, beautiful bill, which rips away health care from 17 million people, which is going to make grocery costs higher, which is going to reduce food and nutrition assistance for seniors and veterans. What we're going to see, I think, in the next month is Republicans going back to their districts, holding town halls. And we'll be able to read a lot into how much voter anger there is directed at Republican members of Congress. I'm sure we all remember the 2011 midterms and that level of anger after the Affordable Care Act, and we'll be able to read a lot into that.
That's a great point. It'll be interesting to see what the summer town halls bring, but let us show you some of Fox's polling, because Maddie Rivera in her report had, by a 10-point margin, Republicans, 43% had a better plan than the 33% Democrats. But when you break it down by party, and I think we show you here, that's what Maddie had. But then let's go to break it down by party. You see here which party has the clear plan for dealing with problems facing the country. Among Democrats, only 51% said Democrat Party. Among Republicans, nearly 80% of Republicans did. So is there a bit of honest confessing going on here that Democrats actually aren't as confident about their party and the having of a plan?
Well, I think you should look at that question, which is who has a clearer plan. And the message, the plan that Republicans have is very clear because they just passed a massive budget bill. Democrats have no power right now. They're in the minority in the House, they're in the minority in the Senate. It's going to take a while. We're about 6 months in before Democrats unite around a midterm message. I expect that they're putting that together, that they will roll that out. It'll focus on healthcare, it'll focus on the economy, it'll focus on, if you go deeper into that poll, the issues where voters still do trust Democrats more than they do Republicans.
Aaron, you want to have at that?
I think that Democrats, while normally history would suggest that things are on their side, right now Republicans do have the one big beautiful bill, and they need to go home to their districts and sell, sell, sell. They need to be talking about the fact that there are tax cuts in this legislation. According to some polling, some people believe that that could raise your taxes. That's not the case. They need to be having a conversation with the American people, because the fear-mongering of the Democrats that this bill will hurt them, it's just not going to pan out this way. You've heard all of this Democrat fear-mongering since Trump has come back into power about inflation, about war, about geopolitical conflict. And what have you seen? You've seen trade deals come on board. You've seen unbelievable jobs reports that were not expected. You've seen real wage growth grow up. You see geopolitical confidence in the United States. That is a plethora of issues to be able to go and talk to the American people about. And to Republicans, not only should they be selling that, they should be selling the path forward. The path forward is, we've done the one big beautiful bill with reconciliation. We've done rescissions. Those are two major opportunities to bring spending under control. And now we can take the appropriations process and really tackle what's ahead when it comes to this bloated, crazy bureaucracy in D.C. that doesn't serve the American people. Republicans have the message. Let's go sell it.
And we'll see if they can do that in those town halls. Rich has a great point. Rich Luchetti and Aaron McGuire, thank you for being here. Great discussion as always.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.